The Gotta Get Up crew is back, and we're going to talk about if the New York Liberty are back, or is this just a phase? We'll get into it on today's episode of Gotta Get Up. Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up. Hey, women's basketball fans, welcome to Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans, brought to you by Black Rosie Media, and hosted by Erica L. Ayala. Hey there, women's basketball fans. Welcome to another episode of Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans brought to you by Black Rosie Media. Erica L. Ayala here alongside Brian Fleurantin. And Brian, you were touching down in Indy. How are things in Indianapolis?
Took a little road trip over the weekend. I made it to Indy when everyone's going next weekend, so I got a sort of sneak peek of everything. For folks who are going to All-Star, the airport looks really nice. Like I took a little peek at the court that they have at the airport. It looks really good. You get to see all the signage of All-Star weekend. They have different players set up in different areas, so it looks really good. I took a gander to Fever game that night against Atlanta. Impressive game. Like the Fever really impressed me after halftime. And just one quick thing on the crowd. One quick thing. You know, there's been so much discussion about how, Indiana get down, hey, Fever crowd is this, Fever crowd is that. The DJ throwing the wobble, and them folks there, they was getting to it.
All right,
like, look at that. Back it up. They was backing it up. I was in my seat. I'm like, look, y'all doing good. Y'all showing up tonight. Good
hey,
work.
listen. All right, there you go. Well, we'll see what the crowd looks like this coming weekend, because it's, of course, WNBA All-Star in Indianapolis. Saw that Tamika Catchings was getting down on the court that they put down in the airport. Could still make it from half court, nothing but net. Love to see it. This will be my second trip to Indianapolis, and I'm hoping to make it out. Speaking of Tamika Catchings, hoping to make it to Tease Me, which is her tea company, and they actually sell the bottled teas from Tamika Catchings in the airport. Yeah. There's 3 different locations now, I believe. So that's going to be something that I hope to do while I'm in Indianapolis.
Yeah, a friend of mine mentioned Catch's Cup, and I was like, "Oh wow! If I have more time and I circle back in the future, I'd love to sort of like pop in to see what's up with that." So yeah, I feel like everyone's gonna have a really good time. Like, make sure that you guys are there, relax. It's gonna be fun. There's a lot of activations for folks who are traveling out there. Mm-hmm. So treat it like Midwest Essence Fest in a sense of like,
oh wow,
make sure you go everywhere. These days, maybe not, but good Essence Fest. Treat it like good Essence Fest.
Wow. Okay.
Go there, check out everything.
That seems like a stretch to me, but I've only been to Indianapolis twice and never been to Essence Fest, so I guess we'll see. But we're going to talk about the New York Liberty, who had a nice win. Leonie Fibish shooting from the perimeter. The quote that you see in the thumbnail, purest shot I've ever seen. I mean, let's start there, because that's what Sandy Brondello said about Leonie Fibish. And I mean, she's played with some ballers. She's coached some ballers. What do you make of Sandy's statements there?
I was out yesterday during the game, so I was following along in a Slack, and then our pal Amir was like, "Man, they need to get booed," and I'm like, "Uh-oh." And then I saw they're down 19. I'm like, "Oh boy." So like once they started making the comeback and it was Leo driving it, I'm like, "Okay, this is the vision. This is it." Like, I feel like the past week of Leo Fibish's game has been a sort of like mission statement for the power of being annoying to people at the right time. And what I mean by that is that for about a month, we've been talking about it on the show. The beat writers have been talking about it. The fans have been talking about it. And I feel like everyone has been saying, why doesn't Leo shoot more? We asked Sandy, "Hey, Sandy, why isn't Leo shooting?" We telling her, "Hey, we want you to shoot." "Leo, why aren't you shooting?" "Oh, I just want to set my teammates up." Sandy again, No. She shoots in Germany. She needs to shoot more. And in the past 2 games, we see Leo really getting to it. There was one play in my rewatch this morning that really sort of stood out to me. I think it was off a missed free. I think it was off a missed free throw rebound. Stewie gets it up, hand off to Leo on the top wing, immediately goes up. No hesitation, no thinking about it, no second guessing, just immediately getting down to business. And I feel like with Leo, that aspect of her game is so powerful and excellent because you're not really going to be able to get over on a 6'4" forward who has the length that she does. Like blocking her shot is going to be really hard, and she has such great arc and great touch with the ball. So her getting to it, I think, really sort of opens up the Liberty in a way that I wasn't expecting. And teams tend to go under on Natasha Cloud. And with Tosh going downhill, defenders are going to have to come help because she's driving at you 100 miles an hour.
Yeah,
that corner kick out for Leo was right there. Leo had some good passes in the pick and roll. Like we've really seen her not exposed, but like really sort of like showcase more of her all-around game in the past week. And I feel like that is going to be critical to what New York wants to do once everyone gets back in a couple weeks.
Yeah. I think it's a few different things. I know you posted the comment. I believe it was from who got that quote from Leo? I'm forgetting now, but who was it?
Lucas.
It was Lucas. Okay. I mean, Leo just saying that she's not going to force her game, which is what I love. Man, she had a better than okay game. Not only was she shooting the ball, but also the way Alicia Gray was forced to get her points was from the free throw line. She was 3 of 13 from the floor. And only missed one of her free throws. I will pull it up in a minute here. But I mean, she was also getting it done on the defensive end. So those are the kinds of games that have been missing for this New York Liberty squad. And Leo definitely led the charge there. Sandy also talked in the post game a lot about having Breanna Stewart be the point guard, the point forward, I guess. And that big lineup, I've been wanting to see it, and we finally got to see it, Brian.
Yeah, I think something that really sort of like really impressed me after half, like you mentioned with the big lineup, was their length. Like in the last meeting in Atlanta, the Dream punished them on the inside. Bree Jones and BG were really able to get to it, and then after halftime, they just swarmed the Dream. Like there'd be possessions where Bree Jones or BG would get it in the post, and then Stewie's immediately coming with a hard double, and then the Dream are like, okay, someone's cutting to the basket as they should, but who comes in? Another long arm defender and Kennedy Burke to get the steals, start the fast break, and really get things going like that. And even when Atlanta was able to find those mismatches, New York was able to scram out of it, get the matchups back to where they wanted it to be, and sort of bring that extra help. And I feel like the second half, Stewie's shot wasn't there, but the defense was. And defense carries no matter what you do. Like the shot doesn't fall, it happens. But that motor never stops and never goes away. And having Breanna being able to sort of really help and blow stuff up and help in the post, taking the Alicia Gray matchup, and because Alicia was working really hard early, but Stewie had the matchup late. So we really got to see them experiment with a lot of different things. And on the size tip, Izzy Harrison, when she got hurt, I think it was against the Sparks, it looked really bad. And I think everyone's a person feared the absolute worst for her right knee, but sat out like one game, and she's really been excellent. Like she was really taking it to BG yesterday, really working on the block. Like Izzy Harrison, like that's one of those like small low key pickups. We talked about it in the newsletter when it happened, but seeing her really bring her game to this point now and really sort of like carve out a good role for herself in this rotation. So when JJ comes back, it's okay, I don't have to play you 34 minutes. Sandy doesn't usually anyway, but I can save you more and let you sort of like really get your conditioning back to where you want it to be. Because hey, Izzy, go in there and bang with some people on the inside. I got you, coach. And she does it.
And that's what we're seeing that is critical, because we've talked about it on the show before. This is season 3 already, but in that 2023 season, Brian, I was early to say, to question, to wonder if Stewie was getting too many minutes. And then I was told, all kinds of, I don't know what I'm talking about. And then lo and behold, what did we hear? What did we see? A burnt out Stewie.
Yeah.
I
And
don't know when
also,
y'all gonna start listening to me, like
also
the folks out there in the interwebs.
there was at the end of 2023, there was a small whisper of, "You was right, Erica. My bad, big dog."
I tried to tell y'all, Stewie is not, I think she's not outside of her prime. And if you want to keep her there, you got to give that child some rest. Not to mention what she did last year, because her shot has been up and down, I think, for her Liberty career. We can say that, and again, her low numbers are numbers that most people in the W would take, but what we've seen is that she gives full effort defensively. And what you heard from Izzy and Leo is that when Stewie is bringing up the ball, it's a different level of leadership. And so, you know, that's huge.
Oh, wait. Can I
Go for it?
Okay. I want to stop on the last point, and I want to make it briefly about myself for a second. So,
okay, make about yourself.
So for the newsletter coming up, right? I was like, oh, let me do like a little team focus. So Erica, if you look in the system, I have a Dallas Wings photo in the drive, because I was like, okay, let me do a little bit on Dallas. What happens to Dallas? They get Sammy Whitcup has the game of her life in 20 minutes.
That was wild
yesterday, and I'm like, wait a minute. I think I put the hex on the Dallas Wings by accident. They were looking good about a week ago, but
they were.
And I'm like, oh, let me, I'm gonna dive into it. And then what happens? No. Same thing with the Dream too. I had something on them, and then they blew that lead to Indiana Friday. They blew a 19-point lead yesterday. So I feel like me leaving New York has spread out bad vibes to young up and coming teams and contenders I want to talk about. So I got a general topics only for like the next couple of days. Big team focus. If you see me coming, run the other way.
That's hilarious. Not too many teams can match up with New York's big lineup. Minnesota, Phoenix, and even Dallas can match well with the New York bigs. Phoenix, yes. However, I have comment. Minnesota, we already know. Dallas, they'll make it a little tough, but it's not exactly the same.
Yeah.
The big test for New York was the team they just played, in my estimation.
Yeah, especially because Atlanta, just like that first half in Atlanta a couple weeks ago was just absurd with how often the Dream were able to really sort of like punish them on the inside, either breaking the defense down off the dribble in the perimeter, or just Bree Jones getting to it in the post, BG as well too. Nas Hillman has been a revelation this year. Like he really
real good.
Yeah, Atlanta. I have concerns about, like, they were without Ryan yesterday, so I want to give them bail to a certain extent.
And will be through the end of July. We found out today.
That's unfortunate. I hope Ryan is okay. Like when she got hurt Friday, like from my vantage point, I was like, oh my god, this looks like a nightmare. But she came back in that game and hit like 3-3-pointers after halftime. So I'm like, wow, I hope you're good. But better to err on the side of caution. Let your star rest up. Leash,
100%.
Yeah, Leash. This might be a chance for Tina Popow to get back in the rotation. Leash has been sensational. Bree Jones, borderline all-star case this year, could have made it depending on a few things. Might actually make it if Ryan is out game. So maybe. They have enough talent to really sort of hold it down. Carl has done a good job with them. So hope Ryan is okay. Rest up, come back refreshed for the stretch run, because they're gonna need her.
Yeah. Now, Minnesota, I want to go back to Minnesota and Phoenix. Phoenix is a problem for New York this season. Now, we're still talking about Jonquel Jones being out. Leo helps a little bit, but, New York's got to get even tougher.
Yeah.
They got to get even tougher. And it's not that they don't have it in them, which is kind of what Sandy seems like she's been talking about the last few games. It's like, come on, when are we gonna show what we've got? That's really what it is for New York. So all this panic button BS, y'all gotta chill, man. This is a pretty solid team. And sometimes for one reason or another, excuse me, you're not playing to your full potential. And that's what's been happening. And that's more frustrating than, I mean, thinking that this team is imploding is a little bit wild to me. It happens sometimes. I mean, look at what Vegas is doing this season, you know? So there you go. And a reminder that, you know, they're figuring a lot of this out without Jonquel Jones, who we are still hoping can come back. However, I've said this about the Caitlin Clark injury. The more this team figures out, Brian, without Jonquel Jones, the less pressure she and possibly even, you know, the staff will feel to rush her back. Because if you're going to get JJ back this season, which from everything that we heard, you know, I guess we're almost at the 6 weeks, within the 6 week range. So we should know probably other side of All-Star. But, you know, it doesn't sound like there's concern that it's inevitably going to be longer. It could possibly be longer, but I think you want JJ to rest up. Now, then you run the risk of how much time out in a lead up to a post game run is going to ruin any kind of flow and stuff like that. But I think with Jonquel Jones, we've seen her play a lot of different roles, and now we're seeing other people play a lot of different roles. And so I think, you know, Sandy even answered this question, or a question was posed to her, you know, what do wins like this kind of help you figure out as it comes to the season down the line? And we know this team wants to be in the postseason. They're in position to be in the postseason. A top team, they're still hanging on to 3. So they're in a good spot there, and they haven't even been playing particularly well in their last handful of games. So, I mean, I'm just trying to understand why we even are entertaining the idea of booing a winning team. Like, come on, what are we talking about? Not even halftime, and we talking about, oh, it's time. The crowd might boo. Like, that would be some clown stuff. If that New York Liberty crowd booed the New York Liberty, were they playing well in the half? Absolutely not. This is a team with a winning record having a bad game, and you're going to boo them when you've got literally decades of losses. Not just with this franchise, which this team, they not like us. They not like the past. They're not like the New York Liberty of Madison Square Garden, Radio City Music Hall, Newark, or Westchester. That's not what we're talking about. That's not what we're talking about. Like, y'all got to let this team do what it's got to do. I tried to warn y'all. June was not going to be good for us. And I didn't even know Jonquel Jones was going to get hurt. I was just talking about Leo being out and potentially even Niara and MJ being out. I told y'all this wasn't going to be the number 1 team in the league. I told y'all. I've been saying this since the beginning of the season. And y'all know I don't like making predictions. We weren't going to be number 1 coming into this season. We just weren't. Enough new pieces. Now you throw in the injury. Leo, a big piece, a starter now being out. Those are all transitions that you have to navigate. But now they're almost on the other side of it. And we want to talk about booing them? I don't know. I can't get down with that, Brian.
You know, this reminds me of a point that I think is always important to remember about, like, Liberty fans in general, and sometimes specific to Barclays Center. A lot of Liberty fans are Met fans. A lot of Liberty fans are Knicks and Yankees fans. So
okay, I'm a Mets fan. Yeah. Don't do that though, because The Liberty have never been the Mets or the Knicks or the Jets or the Giants or the Rangers. That's my point. Definitely not the Nets. This team has always been competitive.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
It feels almost like
with the exception of the Walt Hopkins years. And the Katie Smith years. I mean, let's keep it real.
Those are the Men in Black. You hit the neuralizer, pretend that never happened. But I will say, to that point, I think it's such a great home court advantage. So even when they're down, it's like they're never really out of it in that building. Like, they've had some rough losses.
Period.
It's never like they're down by like 15 and then it gets to like 29 at some point. Very rarely does it happen. And even then, it's they get themselves off the mat. So I think it's a combination of the natural jumpiness that comes with like losing in a game, I think, but also I think just the sort of overall, I think we talked about it a little bit last week. It's just like everyone's like the fan base was like a little bit jumpy when they started losing, because it's like, oh my God, we don't lose anymore. And then the players are like, guys, just it happens.
Yeah, just play the game.
Yeah,
listen,
just like
it lacked effort, Erica, plain and simple. First of all, I've been talking about the New York Liberty effort for weeks now, so you ain't gotta tell me nothing about the effort. I've been telling y'all about the effort. But how you can't lack effort and erase a 19-point deficit. You can't be uninspiring and erase a 19-point deficit. You can't erase a 19-point deficit and not have effort. Period. My point is, y'all, they have two halves of a basketball game for a reason. Like, I don't even, and like, I'm not even a rah-rah person, but it's just kind of wild to me that once again we have a New York fan base that's on the seesaw. Like, y'all gotta ride the whole wave. You gotta ride the whole wave. If you hop off the wave in the middle, then you're stranded in the ocean. You gotta ride the whole wave, for better or worse. That's what it is.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Like, and let's not act like, okay, this is what's wild to me. This team hasn't been playing particularly well, Brian, right? In the last 10 games. And they're in third place. How you give up on a team that's third of 13? What are we doing?
Yeah. It pays to do your work early. Do your work early, so that way when the road gets bumpy in the middle and you hit a few potholes, you have enough foundation to keep you steady. So now, especially when they're going to be on the road, a fair deal as compared to July, where they're here in New York, is going to be a challenge. And we see what they look like with JJ back. We'll see TBD on roster spot number 12. God knows what's happening there across the league. So there's a lot going on here. And I think for New York, and I want to go back to the point you made earlier about just like seeing new combinations. I love that point so much, because similar to the point you were making about Stewie's minutes running out, the big difference from 23 to 24, aside from like layout and a few roster pieces, is that you can press different combinations. Like in 23,
going to the bench.
Yeah. In 23, it's the, hey, starting five, the bullpen door is closing. No one's coming out. You guys complete the game for us. And then if it hits, game 4 in Connecticut. If it doesn't, game 4 against Las Vegas. That's the difference right there between a championship and a runner-up. Whereas in 24, it's okay, I can pull a reliever that hasn't been used in this high leverage situation. Niara Sabali, come in here and play some great basketball. She did it. And you really got to see that. And this year, you're seeing more combinations. This year, Izzy, go on in there and make something happen. She does it. KB, you're a great connector. We want you to drive more. Take all those spot up threes, make it work. Leading the league in 3-point percentage. Beck Gardner, you're fully healed from that Achilles. We're gonna make sure you play well and get in those spots. Get in there and pick up full court. You see all the optionality here.
Exactly.
And I think I think it was Al Page's point earlier, or Damien, who mentioned Minnesota and Phoenix. You're gonna need the deepest part of your roster, especially if
100%.
Because it looks like, I think right now Phoenix is the 2 seed. So if everything holds to serve, we would see Phoenix in the second round, best of 5. So you're gonna need that versatility, especially for a Phoenix team that's come together so well and really hit so different parts. AT is back playing like an MVP again. Like Fatu's been solid. They haven't even had a big Kalia Copper year because she's been injured and working her way back. So
scary.
So who knows what they're gonna look like in September, October when everybody's back there. And if you're New York, once your people are fully lined up, you know you can win on the road. You know that it might be a little bit tougher not having the number 1 seed and home court advantage of the playoffs, but you're a champion. Everyone's won big games in the road before. They can do it. Phoenix is going to be tough. X Factor is tough, but we get there when we get there. But you have enough foundation and confidence to make it work.
Yep. And again, just to bring this point home, Sandy has not had the luxury, and then arguably even Brian, the patience, right? Or the confidence to go to her bench. That she changed that from day one this season. So you mean to tell me that you wouldn't feel worried? Yes, Damien, that's exactly what I've been telling you for the last few weeks. I'm not worried about this squad. This squad is still a competitor, like, period. They're still in that, like, that's my whole point. Am I worried that they're not going to be the number 1 seed? No, because I told y'all they weren't going to be the number 1 seed. That wasn't my expectation. Because, I mean, I don't know, like, it just seemed pretty obvious if they were going to be a stretch without Leo, who was their best player down the stretch last year, and she's a starter, that was going to be something that they had to navigate. And they've done it. She came back to a top 3 team. Brian, this team has never slipped under 3. Am I wrong?
I think you're right. Yep. They've been like, at first it was wrestling back and forth for the number 1 spot.
That number 1 spot.
2 L's dipped to like 2, then slid to 3, but right now flipping between 2 and 3. And who knows? Maybe Minnesota hits a cold stretch. Every great team does. You might sneak back into one.
Chicago. They play Chicago again. I'm not worried. If you're worried that they're not going to be the 1 spot, that went out the window. They're not the 1 spot. So I don't know. Maybe we're talking different things. Am I worried about this team being able to compete? No. Am I worried about this team being able to make the playoffs? No. Anything can happen in the playoffs this year. It's a much more wide open field than I even anticipated. And I'm one of the people who told y'all to keep eyes on Golden State. But Phoenix is playing better than I thought. Atlanta is pretty solid. I mean, I knew with their front court they were going to be solid. You know, I think Washington now, right, is in playoff position. So and they've got a rookie 1-2 punch that is the truth. This 25 class, man, I'm so curious to see how they do down the road.
There's been so much great like, I was thinking about my coach of the year stuff earlier today. Like, Natalie's in the lead, but Coach Sydney in DC, man, he got them working real good, man. Like, Shakira's back looking like a borderline all-star franchise building block. Kiki and Sonia are heading to the All-Star game. They're impressive. Slim probably should have been an All-Star knocking on the door. And, you know, we talked about it a while back. Like, that front court is so good. You forget that a number 6 pick from last year, an all-rookie team player, is just coming off the bench and just trying to get in where she fits it. So,
yeah,
Coach, man, he's got them playing real hard. They had an upset win last night. Like,
yep.
There's so much great talent in the
there
league.
is a lot of good talent. I mean, it's a good time. So, like, if your concern is that they're not going to win a championship, that it wasn't guaranteed. You're not guaranteed to go back to back. It doesn't happen very often. It just doesn't. And it's not like the New York Liberty dominated last finals. I mean, there were a lot of controversial things. I'm not saying that I feel that they didn't earn the win. I think people made a lot more of the wrong things in that series, to be honest. You know, but it was never going to be a given, fam. So, like, you know, okay, they're sixth in the league in rebounding. That sucks. Six out of how many? Six out of how many? And where are they in the standings? Where are they when it comes to their winning percentage? Like, we know deep rebounding is a problem. We've talked about it. But if you're going to talk about every little thing that they're not number one in, like, again, I don't know. I don't know. I don't agree with you, Damian. Let me make it evidently clear. I'm not worried. Period. I ain't worried. This team's going to be competitive. They're going to be all right.
They're gonna be all right. Yeah. Just like, got one more game to go before All-Star break.
And it's a big one. It's a big one.
I came back from Indianapolis and I brought the discourse machine with me with the fever. It should be a fun night on Wednesday.
I mean, that's going to be a big challenge, you know? Like, this is where the team has to show what they're made of. And that's why the heading you know, on YouTube is, you know, are they back on track? Is this for real? And Damian, yes, rebounding continues to be one of the things that they have to focus on, but they're doing other things really well. So, you know, where are they when it comes to assists, Damian? Where are they when it comes to shooting percentage? Where are they when it comes to points per game? Like, I mean, you know, we're gonna nitpick the one thing where they're out of the top 5. Like, come on, you know. But they have to figure out some shooting. We know Sabrina is set to participate in the 3-point contest. She's had an up and down shooting season, unfortunately. I think that the time away that she had with a neck injury really seemed to throw her off kilter, because I thought she had a really good flow. You already know how I continue to believe in Sab for this season. Jingle jangle, there it is. Jingle jangle. You know, she's seeing the court better. She's moving better. She's making smarter decisions. And it was even mentioned on the broadcast that she continues to improve season after season. She always is improving her game. That's 100%. There's no regression with Sabrina Ionescu. Sometimes it gets a little halted and stalled out in season just because of bumps and bruises, but she's been looking solid. Maureen Johannes is again finding her shot, but also finding a way to be impactful on the defensive side of things. That's huge. You mentioned Izzy Harrison. Huge. Who we talked about over at BlackRosieMedia.com, because she's one of the first players to officially sign with Athletes Unlimited for the upcoming season 5, as well as Jalen Sherrod, who we've been able to see more of. You know, I think Leo, we've talked about. Stewie contributing with her leadership, which is also something that we've talked about. That is her value added. I remember people in the chat on one of our earlier podcasts wanted to be like, well, if JJ's the go-to and Sabrina's jingle jangle, then what's Stewie's role? Exactly what she's been doing for us the last few seasons. Defense, leadership, get you a guaranteed bucket when you need it. Like, it's not going to be perfect. And she'll be the first one to be like, yeah, I sucked. Not making free throws in the finals. That was terrible. But you know what? Like you said earlier, Brian, Stewie is like the essence and epitome of you get back up off the mat. And that's it.
Yep. Like, one thing about Brianna Stewart, like, if she messes up, like, she's like, okay, I messed up. I did it. Like, but I'll make sure I don't do it twice. Like, I'm gonna make sure that I'm good. I'm gonna make sure that I'm solid. And I think for Stewie, something that really sort of like really unlocks the liberty is that she does just about everything. I think, you know, we've talked about it. We talked about it maybe like a week or two ago. Like, yeah, the 3-point shooting isn't what you want, but ultimately, so what, in a sense? And I say that because it's okay. The threes aren't there. Great touch at the rim.
Up next, exactly.
Amazing cutter off the ball. Like, with the ball in their hand, we saw last night again in the second half. Decision maker, A+ decision making. range for days, blows stuff up on defense. Like, she does everything you need. And I think having a player like her who can sort of like who can wear so many hats, fill so many roles, allows people to dial things to sort of like be a little bit more exceptional in one area while Stewie picks up the slack in one area. So it's okay, Tosh Cloud, I want you to drive a little bit more, be more assertive with the ball in your hands. You can sort of like dial it back a pinch on defense because Stewie can pick it up. Like, it allows for more optionality in that positionless basketball that the players in Sandy talk about a lot.
Yep.
You can do that when you have a player who can guard up 1 through 5 and do it for an extended period.
100%. And we saw that again, you know, with going with a larger lineup, and Sandy was challenging her team to, you know, pick up. I think she talked specifically about KB, right? You know, like, now you got to pick up a guard. Can you do it? And the answer is, yeah, they can, when they hunker down and focus.
Yeah.
And sometimes what's been missing.
And I think, just to do like a little quick preview of Wednesday night, in the second half of the second Liberty Fever game, what did Sandy do after halftime? Hey, Stewie, go guard the number 1 pick over there.
That's it.
And she done did it. Now Leo's back. Tosh Cloud is playing well. You have more options to guard against a Caitlin Clark, and it's okay. Niara, I need you to bang with Leah Boston. Izzy, Aaliyah is amazing. I need you to really make things hard on her. KB, you might get like, you'll have to deal with like Tosh Howard, who's been playing well.
Very well.
Yeah, there's a lot of like different combinations that Indiana can present. And I think New York has enough buttons to press even without John Quell in this matchup to be like, okay, we can hang around, we can really sort of like do things well, and we can really sort of like go into the break really solid, because I want to think of it almost as like a mini playoff preview in a sense, because the schedule is weird. Like, we wrap with Indiana Wednesday,
and
break in the middle for All-Star, and then come back. Indiana comes back with New York from the All-Star.
With New York. Yeah, it's a wild schedule.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good matchup. And I like what Mike is saying here. When where they're getting killed is rebounds and turnovers. And you know what? Those two things are controllable. Again, Leonie Fibish talked about why she likes defense. She basically talked about how she likes getting into the heads of her opponents. It's fun for her. That's what the New York Liberty has to lean into. And that's what Sandy was pleased with in the second half. She lit into them, it sounds like, at halftime, and rightfully so. I understand the frustration, but like booing that team is wild to me. Like, that's wild. Being frustrated, absolutely. I'm frustrated all the time. But that's because they can fix things.
Yeah.
You can fix rebounding. It's about positioning. You can fix turnovers. It's about execution and communication. Those are things within your control. In theory, they should be, right? Because again, as Mike puts here, and as we've talked about, the other things, they're hitting and they are on par with the top 3 because they are literally a top 3 team. Yeah. They're doing everything else they need to do, and they have to, yes, hunker down and focus. They have to hunker down and focus. And the fact that this team is still a top 3 team and they are missing that at times, and they can't string together, you know, a full 40 minutes or much closer to 40 minutes, to me, yes, is that frustrating? Absolutely, it's frustrating. However, it's not, we've seen worse. We've seen worse from this Liberty squad.
Yeah, it feels like they're similar to last year. They're chasing a perfect 40-minute game. They never got the perfect 40. It took 45 to get them to championship last year. So think of it this way, as you're chasing a perfect 50-minute game, because God knows you might wind up in a double overtime game when they get back there. So now the goal is, how do we get as close to perfection as possible? And that starts with gang rebounding. Like Leo's talked about that. You need, like, no JJ's here. Is, oh, John Cole's gonna get that board. I ain't gotta worry about it. No. You put your back into it. Get on the glass, really get there.
That's it.
When it comes to the turnovers, it's okay. The ball moves side to side, no stagnation, no sort of like flat isolations, no just one no movement, no cutting. You really have to be able to lock in that regard.
Yep.
When the offense is dialed in as it was after halftime, we really see the vision of that. And I really think when the month ends is when we're going to see Minnesota, and the Lynx should be full strength by then. Presumably, John Quell will be back then too. So we'll get, yeah, like 50-50, but she has been looking good in practice, but practice different. Practice against the training guys. The training guys is way different than Lana Smith and Jessica Shepard waiting for you. So it's gonna be it's gonna be hard, but I think this next week to change. I really think if they close out the half strong against Indiana Wednesday, it'll really sort of like give them that extra oomph to go into the break being like, okay, this was a B plus first half of the season for us. Now, when everyone's back and we're really healthy and can dial it up, and especially when we have these back-to-backs, long road trips, Western swings again, we can really dial it up to an A, and then that'll really get us ready for postseason starting September.
I don't remember.
Middle of September. Yeah. A September with a teen in it. That's with
a teen in it. Mike has a hot take. I will be honest, I don't know enough about the boys basketball to say if I agree or disagree. I do know that Boston won last year, so there we go.
Yeah, I would say I like where Mike is going here, because I think sometimes with that Boston team, a lot of the discussion was about like 3-point variance for them, where it's like, oh, it's the basketball thing of this is not the game I know anymore. But the fundamentals were there for that Boston team. And something we talk about a lot on the show is that good teams win, great teams win by a lot, and Boston would win by a lot. So even within these sort of like things underneath that looked a little bit shaky, you still saw that they were able to sort of like win by 15 every night, really do things well. The Liberty, when they're dialed in, they can really sort of like win games by like 8-10 points. I think right now they're still, third in point differential per 100 possessions. So when they're winning by a healthy margin. And even yesterday, they got it to 10 late after being down 19. So essentially, that's a big old 29-point swing from the second quarter down to the rest of the game. And especially for if they see a team like Atlanta again, they have that corporate knowledge of A, beating them in the postseason last year, and B, being able to come back against them twice, even when they weren't full strength. And if you're in a situation where you see them in a round two, it's home court advantage starts in Brooklyn again. That crowd, the players are going to be jacked. That crowd is going to be right there with them too. And for a team like Atlanta that's new in this setting and hasn't won a playoff series or playoff game for that matter since 2018, it's oh boy, hey, it's a little bit shaky. Carl, first time in the W playoffs, a little bit shaky. The only players with big time championship experience off the top of my head, as far as like the main rotation players, are Breezy, BG. I think Jordan won the championship with Seattle too, if I'm not mistaken, 2020 maybe, but I forget. But a lot of that team, first time, a lot of like young players in a big time moment like this for the first time. So it's gonna be a challenge. And I think that experience and that knowledge of being like, okay, I done beat them down 17 once. I done beat them down 19 without JJ. And we won convincingly, even being down 19. That knowledge matters a great deal.
Yep. And that's what Sandy was saying. She'll take these games now. She'll take these games now for the lessons that they hopefully will instill. Y'all need to let go of Hanju. She ain't coming back. Misaman ain't coming. I don't know, like y'all gotta let that go.
Quick thing about
so let me do this real quick. So Q got waived. She wasn't playing. I mean, that's why she got waived. She wasn't playing, and she got cut when she did because that was the last day that the Liberty could make their cuts mid-season. And so if my hunch is that they probably knew that was happening. I don't know if that's something that they communicated to Q or not, but they probably knew it was happening. And if you can keep that person on your roster for as long as possible until I believe it was the 13th, right? Yesterday, then do it. So that's why it happens now. Is it a play to get somebody else? Maybe, but it's not going to be Hanju. I continue to say Emma Meesman ain't coming. I don't know why y'all don't listen. We've talked about Edwards before on the podcast. We've talked about Kitley. Between the two, I would go Edwards over Kitley. But also I don't think insurance for JJ. I'm questioning if that's the smart move because of the positionless role that we have. I think they might need a shooter, another shooter for insurance. What do you think, Brian?
I was thinking about it yesterday. Like I put in our Slack a theoretical option of, oh hey, you've got plenty of cap space, and you could theoretically. I'm not saying this as sourcing. I'm just saying, oh hey, what if you call down and be like, oh, Dejanay Carrington will play. What would it take beyond like a first round draft pick to get her here? Like you could sort of like figure out and experiment with that because you have the money and the room to make that happen. Now, will they do that? I doubt it. And I doubt Kurt wants to trade a player who he values and was someone that he sort of like brought up in Connecticut before he left a couple years ago. So
Yeah, I don't see that happen.
I think for New York, they've got about 3 weeks to figure something out because the trading deadline is August 7th, if I'm not mistaken. So they have time to sort of like figure out what the market holds and what could be out there for them. I think if they don't do anything, the players will tell you that this group is good enough. I tend to agree with them because this group essentially was good enough last year. And even with a better league, they're still really incredible in their own right. So I think for New York, there may not be options available to get. I'd be surprised if they made a big swing.
Big move, yeah.
Yeah, so I think if you're expecting that, think of it similar to in the 2024 offseason when they made their moves in the margin and then it paid off loudly at the end. Something like that should be the way we operate because you've got the big dogs lined up already. And now it's just fine tune this thing here, put a little bit of gas in the car here, make sure that you clean the dishes here, stuff like that. Really make it so that way things are the sort of periphery is looking good because the foundation is already there. And I guess when it comes to the Q piece of it, you kind of, as you mentioned, Erica, she didn't play much. And in retrospect, my radar should have really gone fully off when she didn't get in the game in the 50-point win against Connecticut and make the lead safe. And I was like, I didn't think about it much. I'm like, whatever.
Oh, I clocked that, and I mean, it was something that I definitely clocked, and I don't know if I agree or disagree with it. I think yes, she gives you pace, gets downhill, but let's think about this. What have we been saying? We need the Liberty needs to take care of the ball, and they need to rebound. I don't think Q hurts the team necessarily, but does she exponentially help the team? And is she someone immediately that's going to be able to push that needle? I think the answer is, from what we've seen, no.
Yeah. And I think what also hurt is that of her 2024 classmates, the coaching staff loves Jalen. Like Jalen, as what's that word you use all the time, Erica?
There's a lot of them. I don't know which one. Sandpaper, yes.
Yeah. Like yes. He brings that sandpaper to the team, which is always helpful. And every time Jalen checks in, it's like a bolt of energy when she checks in the court. And I feel like even for a team that gets itself up, like having a player who can get you up even more and gets that crowd up even more is so valuable. And I think for Q, the problem that I think she ran into is that Sab is playing so well, and I think probably the only two guard better than her this season might be Alicia Gray. So Sab's not going to sit. Marine is back and playing good ball. Like if Marine weren't here, I think Q would have soaked those minutes, and the coach staff would have like been almost forced to play her in that regard. But Marine is back. Marine has that corporate knowledge and has played big minutes with Cindy before, so that trust is there. And I think she's been, like you mentioned earlier, she's been working hard on defense. Like she's really been contributing in a lot of ways. Like her chemistry with Izzy on pick and rolls is really solid. There was one play yesterday after I think Izzy got like a good block Izzy and Marine ran a side pick and roll. Izzy rolls, Marine little lob over her head, and then she gets Izzy 2 free throws. Like chemistry like that is hard to beat. And Marine with her vision and just like her sort of like this is a family podcast, so her epic button, if you will, like that's always there. So it's like someone's open and I don't see it, but she does, and that thing is getting there. Like that you need, especially when the margins are so close in the ways that they are in championship level basketball. Having someone who can find that opening is so crucial. And I think for Q, it's a situation where if more minutes were available, possibly if there was like a chance for her to like have if there were more roster spots, I feel like they would have kept her on because like
they would have kept her. Yeah. Come on, Kathy, make it work. Yeah, I it's just not going to work. I mean, I've said what I had to say. I think that Kitley is great, but she's still an experiment in the W. Edwards is a little bit more tried and true. We already know Misamin is, but I have already told you Hanju not coming back to New York. Never worked, not ever going to work. Like I don't understand why that lasted as long as it did, to be honest. Like I just don't understand it. But you need someone, you mentioned it, sandpaper. I would take someone, I don't care who they take. I mean, take someone that's going to give you defensive sandpaper, because there have been times this season, one of the most frustrating things for me, Brian, is seeing this team get lost in defensive rotations. And I think sometimes they overcommit and overhelp. Sometimes they do not communicate enough, and so it's just easy bunnies, easy layups. I don't know which one is more frustrating, because I love defense, so both of them are terrible for me. But they find other ways to clean it up. But if I were to say they get someone, which I'm not even sure that that's what they're going to do, I think maybe if they have enough time, and maybe this is what they're doing, they're trying to wait and see what Jonquel Jones, what the prognosis is, how she's feeling. But for me, you need someone who is going to level this team up defensively, bring some energy. So, of the ilk, if you will, of like Leo, Tosh, and Izzy right now. I mean, not to mention Stewie. I mean, Stewie is a given. Maybe I should state that, but Stewie to me is a given. Brianna Stewart is the prototype for the way the New York Liberty have wanted to play basketball. And it's no surprise to me that they got to be a serious contender as soon as they acquired her. Like, she truly is the prototype. And every other player plays as a piece of Stewie, but Stewie has she has like the Infinity Stones, right? She has a piece of everyone, and everyone else on the team only has a little bit of Stewie, if that makes sense. But it works, because then she becomes that she's the platinum version, right, of this New York Liberty, what it is to be a member of the New York Liberty now. And I love it. I think it's awesome. And again, I think her biggest asset for us in the next handful of seasons is going to be passing on that leadership to the players that remain. I don't know that Stewie goes anywhere between now and retirement, but that's what she'll do here, is continue to pour in. All right, let's talk a little bit about Indiana before we get out of here. Previewing this game, I mean, we've already talked a lot, Brian, but I like to wrap up by saying the New York Liberty will win their game against the Indiana Fever if.
This is a good one. I will say the New York Liberty win this game on a Wednesday if they keep Kelsey Mitchell under 18 points. I think Kelsey's been playing great ball this season. Well-deserved All-Star appearance coming up. Possible contender for all WNBA team again this year. So I think for Kelsey, it's going to be for the Liberty, it's going to be really interesting to see how they defend Kelsey, because Clark draws all the attention. Boston as a passing hub in short pick and rolls has been so good, and she's been able to find so many avenues and pockets for her teammates to get open. So I think being able to defend Kelsey is going to be critical, because Kelsey can get downhill. She can play those big minutes while Clark sort of like works her way back to optional sort of health following the groin injury. So she's going to be really valuable for them. I think what's also going to help New York is that they're catching the fever on night 2 of a back-to-back, which is very advantageous for them, because they're going to be in Connecticut Tuesday night. No, not Connecticut. Excuse me. Boston, Massachusetts Tuesday night. They're going to be in the Celtics arena for that game.
Right.
So that's going to be, I think Massachusetts is a little bit further than Connecticut, so a little bit more travel, which is going to be a little bit tough. The emotions are going to be high, considering all the antics from the last game with JC Sheldon and all that other business that happened there. So it's going to be a hot atmosphere. The Sun coming off an impressive upset win against the Seattle Storm last week, and they're playing quality ball, so they're going to be up for the challenge. So it's going to be a good test for Indiana when they come here, and for the Liberty, if they're able to keep Kelsey on the perimeter, use that length with Aleo, Izzy picking up full court, Tosh Cloud doing a little bit of everything. Being able to do that I think it's going to be really cool and interesting, and also it'll sort of serve into the next matchup when they're back after All-Star break. So if they're able to have that success there, Stephanie White is good at making adjustments. So we'll see how she incorporates her in the rematch. And then that allows you to sort of really dig into things a little bit more when it comes to a Boston or Clark or Lexi Hull coming off the bench, things like that. So I think this is going to be a really fun matchup. And I love the sort of like chess match, the sort of like mini chess match we're going to see between Sandy and Steph White coming up.
I agree with that. And to that end, the New York Liberty defeat the Indiana Fever if Leonie Fibish steps up her game even more. I loved what she was doing defensively, and I don't even think it was her best defensive effort. And the game before that, who did they play, Brian, right before Atlanta? Now I'm blanking. Vegas, thank you. She looked a little lost defensively, which is not usual. But she looked a little bit lost. She looked like she was kind of getting bullied around. Indiana has size, not in the same way that Vegas does, but still they can play a physical game. That's how they were able to get Minnesota in trouble and eventually beat them by 15 points. I projected 16. I was off by 1 point. But we know that Indiana can play that physical style, so Leo really has to clamp down defensively. And what we heard Sandy Brondello say, which I agree with, and hopefully her team will listen and really absorb what she's saying, but their effort defensively flowed into their offense. It opened things up, and that also has to happen.
Erica, I love your Leo point so much, because this really is the first time we're going to see Leo play against the Fever this year.
She got banged up. She got hit in the quad or something in that first game that I was at. Yeah.
Yep, I was going to say, you were there. Tonight, it will not be on America's leading network. It will be on League Pass for you folks at home. But America's leading network will be back next time. They will be there somewhere. And Erica will be in Indiana.
I will be there. I will be there.
Media.
I will be there. I will be there. And so we'll have to talk about that. I see y'all have put in the chat a few other names. Someone talking about Emma Meeseman, New York versus Minnesota. Listen, I mean, the rumor mill is so strong. I love it. I mean, I love it for Emma, because that just means yesterday's price ain't today's price. And she's been saying that for years now. I mean, I could be wrong. I've always said this, Brian, so I'm just putting it out there. I could be wrong, and or Emma could change her mind. But that child looked me in my eye and told me, and when I said, what would it take to bring you back? She said, you know what you need to do. We were talking about the collective bargaining agreement, the CBA, and specifically prioritization. And while a lot of things have changed in the league since the last time I spoke to her, all of last year in Paris, France, you know what hasn't changed? The CBA. You know what hasn't changed? Prioritization. So it just feels to me, although there are several teams, including New York, and I've said this for a few years now, that it would look great. I would love, I don't even care at this point where she goes. I mean, I would love it if she comes to New York, but to see Emma Mieseman in the United States again would just make my heart so happy. And I just don't see it happening this season. I think she more than has earned and deserves a full year contract, but I don't see that happening this coming year. I just don't.
I feel like I might have figured out a mini hack, if you will. It's a terrible hack, but a hack nonetheless. Are you ready? So let's theoretically, the Las Vegas Aces can create enough cap space to sign Emma. That number may not be large, but do you know who could chip in to bring it over the top? The $100,000 sponsorship for players via the LVCVA. If you can't find the way, make a way.
I mean, and then they'll get yet another investigation that we will never hear the results of. Yet another investigation that we'll never hear the results of. Yes, Damien, we will indeed see. I'm just letting you know. I don't think it's happening. But Emma can and will do whatever Emma wants to do. So, yeah, I don't see her going to Minnesota though. I know Fee has been on the record saying she'd like to see it. I don't. So, like, they have Shepard, Smith, Fee, Nafisa Collier, and Emma's supposed to do what? Who's giving up minutes? Because you need to give her minutes.
Yeah.
Who's giving up minutes?
Lan's been balling this year. Like she was another borderline all-star too. So like,
yeah, looking good. And she was a problem last year in the finals, and she wasn't even healthy.
Lan, that game 4 is like one of the most like Lan out there with that bad back fighting against.
Oh my gosh, I know. She was a warrior.
He's a warrior, man.
It was hard to watch. But the Minnesota needed her. They did. Yeah. Anyway, all right, y'all. We're gonna wrap today's episode. But yeah, Wednesday's a big one. And then, of course, it's All-Star. We are expecting Huerta to be there as well. I know she's had to handle some things, so hopefully everything is well there. But I certainly will be there. And we have some newsletters coming out. Brian also did the announcement regarding Athletes Unlimited. So we've got more content for y'all coming out. Yeah. So we will indeed see that. But Brian, what else you got coming down the pike?
I've got the newsletter coming up this week. I got some fun business coming up. I'm thinking this All-Star weekend's coming up. For the money moves on Thursday, I'm gonna do a little preview of what the big conversation is gonna be. It ties into a lot of what Erica has been reporting on for the past few months. So I'm excited to see what's in store coming up this week. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be fun this weekend. Somehow we're gonna figure out who else in that 3-point contest because I only know 2 people.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. We'll see. The Lynx cut who? Last year's number 1 pick.
Yeah.
Oh, I know they cut Pili, but that last year's number 1 pick, if I'm not mistaken, was Caitlin Clark.
God, let Cheryl Reeve, let New Jersey Cheryl do that. Boy, you think they're writing books about her now? You get a documentary.
Crazy. Pili, was she taken in the first round? That's probably what you mean. Yeah. She was taken in the first round. She must have been what the I think 11, 10, 11, 12, something like that. Because Minnesota had a late pick. I mean, another player that I didn't really understand that pick. They actually traded. What was that trade again?
Chicago, yeah.
They traded, and so they had another pick. They weren't really trying to pick from last year's draft. It feels like clearly. Yeah, they made room for Pili, but I mean, her contract is not. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know what their salary cap is, but you know, I don't think Pili alone gets you Emma Mieseman money. But anyway, yes, Thank y'all so much. We appreciate you. Aloysius, thanks for stopping in. Damien, Kamal, we had Al Page, as you mentioned, in here. Amir, Mike, thank y'all so much for joining us, and we will catch you on the next one, but not before we wait. Wait. We'll catch you next time. Peace out, everybody.